and welcome to the Arsenal Way. Back again with you guys for another episode of our Arsenal Agenda series. I'm joined for the first time in a long time by our two regular guests. First of all, it's Bailey. How you doing, mate? You good? You well?
Yeah, it feels good to be back in the trio. It's been a while, so yeah, I'm good. I'm all good.
Indeed. And Chris, how you doing, my friends? Rested
very well.
after your break?
Yeah, all rested, ready to get back into it. Obviously, final few days of the window now, so I expect things to get interesting, and looking forward to diving into the topics with you boys this morning. Hope everyone, of course, is keeping well as well.
Absolutely. Good morning, everybody joining us in the chat box. Thanks so much for continuing to make this, as always, part of your 10 a.m. routines. We do this show every weekday morning at 10 a.m. UK time. So set your alarms, set your notification bells, turn them on, and you won't miss a show. A little bit of a surprising result, I think, last night, Bailey. Man United going above Liverpool. It's kind of a strange result, of course. They just seemed a lot more up for it than Liverpool were in the game. Very much a different side. How did it make you feel regarding kind of both teams and their prospects this season?
You know what? It doesn't really change too much because, firstly, it's early in the season. Secondly, Liverpool's midfield of Henderson, Milner, and Harvey Elliott. I don't think that will be their starting midfield going into the season. If it is, Liverpool are going to have problems in the league because that's not a Champions League midfield, let alone a Premier League title winning midfield. So if Liverpool don't address them, I can say this on the game, if Liverpool do not address the midfield before the end of the transfer window, I reckon they could be drawn in a top four race because in the Premier League, you need a top class midfield. And they're so reliant on Thiago in their system, and you can't rely on his fitness. So it's a big problem for Liverpool. Fabinho is not in the greatest of forms either. So yeah, they need to sort out the midfield. Otherwise, Liverpool are getting dragged in to this top four race, and City, but then the title is just clear.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, 7 points clear of title challenging Liverpool, just 3 games into the season. How kind of contextually are we meant to absorb this at this stage?
Enjoy it. We're not used to it. We haven't been used to it in a very, very long time. And I mean, look, I was saying to my family last night when we were watching the game that it's quite nice to actually just be able to sit back and relax, not really worry too much about sort of which way the result goes, because obviously we've had a very, very good start. Obviously the only team in the league to get the maximum points, 3 wins out of 3, and it's a nice position to be in. So long may it continue. That's all I can say. I think it's fun, like I say, it's actually nice just to be able to relax with the position that we're in. But, speaking to Arsenal fans, seeing what people are saying on Twitter, I think there's been a lot of banter and joking around, maybe doing a title charge, etc. But I think we know deep down that there will be a point in our season, be it Saturday or next week, whenever it may be, where we take a turn and there's a bit of a dip in the road. We hit a bit of an obstacle, and maybe our results, go downhill a little bit. We've seen it before, and it's still very early stages. A long season ahead of us. There's going to be twists and turns, unfortunately. So, like I say, enjoy it while it lasts. I mean, obviously, I'd hope to be proven wrong on my last point. It'd be lovely to continue this unbeaten run for as long as possible, of course. But, it's a hard and long season ahead. We've got to think about, obviously, back in Europe as well. So we're going to have to cast our minds to that at some point, and our concentration is going to have to shift between that and the league and the cup games too, of course. So, although it's been a nice start to the season, we shouldn't set our expectations too high. I think, as Martin Odegaard said after the Bournemouth game, we've got to stay humble, take each game as it comes and just go from there. But you can't ask for much more, can you? In terms of the start we've had, a horrible end to last season, but a fantastic turnaround, a fantastic start to the new campaign. Like I say, long may it continue, and encouraging signs. Hopefully it's some indication that there's better times ahead for this football club.
Absolutely. Umar asking the question, Bailey, could Liverpool make a move for Tielemans because of their midfield issues? Do you think that's a threat at all?
Potentially, they were interested. There were reports of Liverpool being interested in the previous couple of seasons, so it could be. I reckon Liverpool will move for midfielder. I know Naby Keita now has been confirmed that his injury could be severe, so they literally need to dip into the transfer market. So that could be another competitor for Arsenal if we are going to sign a midfielder. So yeah, definitely is a concern, because Liverpool did register interest in the Belgian, but we shall see. It looks like we have agreed personal terms apparently. So hopefully, if we are really in for him, this could be a little, push in the back and say, look, let's get it still done to avoid any risk.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, Chris, Liverpool's target at the start of the season was, again, to challenge for a title. Mo Salah talked about that in his pre-match kind of interview. But they've lost Thiago. They've lost Keita. They still have Henderson. They didn't have Fabinho from the start either. And that target seems to have dramatically kind of already ebbed away from them. Is it an indication for us that, say, we fall foul of the same kind of injury issues to starting midfielders like Xhaka or Partey without the relevant quality cover, that us too could see our target of Champions League qualification for this season again drop away? And should we do something about it?
Well, it's always a worry, isn't it? And it's something that, really hit us towards the end of last season. The contrast between maybe the team's performances, but the overall confidence around the team, the quality, when we were losing the likes of Thomas Partey, among others that were to obviously withdraw through injury. Of course, I mean, with more games, as I said a moment ago, to play this season, obviously with the addition of 5 substitutions as well, I think it's always a concern, and it's maybe an extra concern. But I think it just emphasises the point that we've got to continue strengthening between now and the end of the window. I think you look at how many of the sort of the under 21 players we were relying on to fill our bench last season. Some of them, most of them have either left permanently. We obviously Amari Hutchinson being one, but others have gone out on loan, such as Charlie Patino. I think Salah, he's going to be joining Hull City if that hasn't been confirmed already. So, we've got to think about that side of things. Obviously, in an ideal world, I'd like to see 2 more come in. Obviously, you mentioned him there, Youri Tielemans being one of them, or at least someone in his position. And then, of course, in a wide area, obviously, we'll be speaking a bit more about the links to Pedro Neto in a moment, I'm sure. But, if we're thinking about the overall depth of our squad compared to last season, the outgoings that have happened so far, along with, especially, like I say, those youngsters that were making up the numbers for us last season, I do think it's important to get a couple more in at least.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes down, Bailey, to kind of what we can expect from Arsenal in the next couple of weeks in the transfer window, with the news about Neto yesterday, with there still being these continuous links with Tielemans, I remember we did a show last week where I think you were leaning more towards Arsenal not making any business between now and the end of the window. Has that changed for you now?
It hasn't changed. It hasn't changed because I think we have clear targets on who we want to bring in. We saw in the January transfer window, Edu's transfer strategy is if we don't get the player we want, we will not find just a player for the sake of it. And it's clear that Neto is our priority. And I don't know who else would go for if it isn't Neto. I know we have backup options, but will we go for those backup options is a different question. I think Neto looks like at the moment a very, very difficult transfer to get over the line. I don't know if Arsenal want to pay the 50 million that has been reported. Plus, Wolves are not open to selling. It's a bit of a sticky situation. So I think it'll be difficult. So I'm still leaning on, I don't know if we will bring in any players. I hope we do. I think if we do bring in one, it could be a winger. It could be Neto, but we'll see how that goes. But for now, I'm going to stand on that hill and what I said initially. And at the moment, I'll say no.
Fair enough. I mean, Chris, we've not had your thoughts yet on this Pedro Neto situation. Arsenal supposedly want to pay 35 million. Wolves are looking for something close to 50 million. To be honest, I thought Wolves are going to be charging well above 50 million, to be honest. So it's a lower figure than I thought they might do. But is it more than you'd be willing to pay for Neto?
It's difficult, isn't it? Because, it's just the way that football is going. And I think, he's a top quality winger. Wolves are in a strong position, aren't they, in terms of selling the player, because he's recently signed that new long-term deal, I think until 2027. So they're very well positioned. Is he worth £50 million? I think in today's market, yes, he probably is. Maybe a year or two ago, possibly, I don't know, 30, 40. But, the market has continued to inflate, and that's just the way that prices are going for players. And I think, because he's Premier League experience, because he's still young, and he's got proven quality, that is the sort of price you're looking at for a player today. So whether or not Arsenal can get a deal done yet, it still seems very much up in the air. I think it's maybe you can take some encouragement from the fact that Edu appears to have been in talks with Mendes for I think at least a month. It had been reported. You'd think that if there wasn't any sort of indication that it wasn't possible, then talks wouldn't have been going on for that long. You get the sense that maybe the club has got some sort of indication that it is possible, so that's why talks have continued. But we'll have to wait and see. I think the club will probably wait until Pepe's wrapped up that loan move to Nice in the coming days, and then we'll go from there. Because a deal is never done until it's done. He's holding the shirt; those papers are signed. So the last thing Arsenal want to go and do is sign a new wide player, and at the last minute, the deal to take Pepe on a loan, it sort of collapses. So I think they'll concentrate on that first, and once that's done, we'll get a better picture of how things are looking. But Neto, big fan. I think. Had a quiet game actually against Spurs at the weekend, but apart from that, had a strong start to the season. Actually finished last season strongly after returning from that nasty injury. I guess that's the only worry I have, how much his consistency and quality has changed, or how much it's been impacted since that injury, because we see players that come back from those injuries and they're totally different. The confidence is shot, and they can't reach the same standards as they were at before. So, I think in terms of his recent performances, you can take encouragement from that. I'm sure, obviously, if we were to go for him, all the medical tests will show any sort of concerns there. I'd be happy if we can get it over the line. Great replacement from Pepe. As I said, Premier League proven. If there's anything that he needs to add to his game, more goals, you would say. I think Mikel Arteta was saying after the Bournemouth game that, if we could add more firepower, we would. Would Neto add more firepower? I'm not entirely sure. I think it'd certainly add more quality, much needed competition in those wide areas. But you think, he maybe needs to score more goals. Maybe turn him into that Diego Jota for Liverpool, make him very much into a goal scorer and winger. I think if Mikel Arteta can do that, then we've got a very, very good player on our hands. But also seems like we've got maybe some alternative lined up as well if that doesn't happen. So keeping my fingers crossed, and obviously, intrigued to see how it plays out in the remaining days.
Dixon Timothy in the chat says there's news that UEFA might investigate Arsenal because of financial fair play. This comes off the back of a report from the Times, which claims that Arsenal are among 20 European clubs on a UEFA watch list of teams who may be in danger of breaching FFP. UEFA is preparing to announce sanctions in the next month for 10 clubs who have breached FFP rules up until 2020-21, including Barcelona, PSG, Juventus, Milan and Roma. It's understood that the initial analysis has also flagged up concerns for the 21-22 year for 20 clubs that include Arsenal, though final accounts for these clubs have still to be filed with UEFA and their financial picture could yet change. Now, I have yet seen further reports of this that claims that Arsenal are, very confident about this, that they have no issue to worry about this, and that they've been complying with FFP, and there's a continuation that they can still spend money even this window, and it would not impact this investigation at all. I do feel like it's a little bit of a stirring the pot and riling up a bit of Arsenal at the moment during a very good period. Personally, I don't really see where Arsenal have done any wrongdoing or face any potential wrongdoing. Bailey, what do you think about this story that's coming up?
Yeah, I agree. I think I saw one report as well as Arsenal and 20 other clubs are also being monitored. So
I wonder why.
I wonder why you're putting Arsenal's name in the front when you can name 19 or 20 other clubs. I think it's, don't worry, Arsenal fans. Okay, we're good. We're in the clear. We're okay. I think we're just using our name to push, of course. Everyone wants to talk about Arsenal, especially when they're in a good moment. This is rare for the Gunners to be flying right now. And of course, some people just want to put water onto the rising sun. But yeah, I think we're all good. But however, I see Umar Chowdhury's comment saying Anthony Gordon for 60 million means I'd pay 50 million for Neto. See, that is what can get you in financial trouble, Umar. Because you do not follow Chelsea's transfer strategy because they're paying over the odds for a player. Doesn't mean we pay over the odds for a player too. Chelsea will splash and splash and splash. We are not Chelsea. So because of that, if you follow that by Umar, we might, but I think we're good. I think we're good for now.
Ronald Rampasword says, hopefully it's Nice covering all Pepe's wages for a loan plus a £15 million option. Chris, this story is obviously broken whilst you've been away. Nice potentially getting an option. I think Mark Irwin of The Sun has reported this £50 million option. What do you make of this deal for Arsenal?
Well, I think it was only a matter of time. You think of how many times us three have spoken on here about Nicolas Pepe's future and the uncertainty around it. Look, I think as much as you could give credit for Pepe for not really kicking up a fuss about his situation, because everything points towards him still working hard in training, getting along well with everyone. And I can understand maybe his frustration with not playing much and not having the opportunities, but to keep your head up and keep working hard and sort of not spread any negativity around the place. I think credit where credit is due in regards to that. But, it can only go on for so long. And I think it has just reached that point now where Arsenal simply had to do something, because, he's clearly got the likes of Keogh, Saka and Gabriel Martinelli ahead of him in those wide positions. Obviously, I think maybe he was a little bit concerned earlier on in the window when we were trying to get Rafinha as well. Probably the strongest indication yet that he just has no plans in sort of for the team or under Arteta. And of course, you've got Emile Smith-Rowe as well that we know can play out on the left. Fabio Vieira played on the right for the under-21s the other week. We know he's got that versatility. So, it was just becoming harder and harder for Nicolas Pepe to sort of stamp down his place in the team. And I think, obviously links with a new winger as well, that was just sort of it for him, really. And I think he's had his chances over the last few years, especially last season. He had the chances to come into the squad, come off the bench, make an impact. And I think he did that on a couple of occasions. But, when you've had that consistency, as I say, from Martinelli, Saka each week, the quality and the attitude, the work rate that they bring to the team, and then we get glimpses of Nicolas Pepe, it's just worlds apart. And at the end of the day, as much as it pains me to say it, because he's our record signing, £72 million, which is an awful lot, I think we were all desperate for it to work out for him. It just simply hasn't. And like I say, it's got to the point now where what else can you do? What else can Mikel Arteta turn to get the best out of him? We've tried and tried. And I think ultimately Saka, Martinelli, the likes of them, they've set the standards for this team. They've set the standards for any player who's looking to play week in, week out in this squad under Arteta. The quality and the consistency that you must bring and show on a weekly basis. And unfortunately, Pepe just hasn't done that. So hopefully this loan to Nice gets sorted. I think in an ideal situation, you'd be looking at a permanent here and now. But unfortunately, sometimes, you can only go in the direction that the market allows you to go in. And, we know teams abroad and in Europe aren't stashed with cash currently. So loan is the next best option. So, I mean, if it includes a £15 million buy option or any buy option at all, I think, then, okay, it's better than nothing. It helps us at the end of the season, say Pepe has a really strong season, then you can sort of bet your money on Nice taking up that option. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. I think, we've just got to take sort of each window as it comes. And now it seems as if it will be a loan deal, which, sorts out the situation for now. Hopefully allows us to bring a new wide player in that will bring us more quality, more consistency, and then we'll go from there. Because hopefully Pepe can go out, have a strong season, and obviously it strengthens our hand and in the coming months. You're on mute, buddy.
Classic Chris mistake. Lovely stuff. I think I agree with absolutely everything you said, to be fair. Nice is a good destination for him. I think it could be an area where you could potentially, recapture the form that saw him succeed so well at Lille. I just hope that it's a deal that benefits Arsenal in the long term, and we aren't, say, something bad happens whilst he's on loan and that doesn't accept the option, doesn't activate, have a whole Lucas Torreira repeat 2.0. So, yeah, fingers crossed that is avoided. Thank you, everybody that's been tuning in this morning. Over 400 of you watching. Do make sure you drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here with those notifications turned on. Do also vote for us in the Football Content Awards. We're in the category of Best New Content Creator, having only been around for less than a year and already pushed up towards 27,000+ subs. And that's all thanks to you guys in the chat box. So go to the Football Content Awards website, drop us a vote, go onto Twitter and vote for us in the right category, or go onto Instagram and tag us as well in the right post. And who knows? We'll see what happens. Bailey, thank you so much for your time, mate. Always appreciated.
Thank you, TC, CD, and everyone in the comment section as well.
Chris, thanks as always, fella.
Thanks, guys. Pleasure as always. And of course, thank you to everyone tuning in this morning. I hope you all have a great day.
Have a smashing day, people. Hope you had a fantastic Tuesday as we lean towards, again, waiting, longing, hoping that this game, the next one, comes around much faster. And the end of the transfer window too. We will see you again very, very soon. And as always, keep following us down the Arsenal way.
49, undefeated, playing for the Arsenal way.